This is your midweek Barbados Today Evening News Update for Wednesday, August 25. Police are seeking to get to the bottom of a grim find in St. John today. They're investigating the discovery of skeletal remains in a burnt-out car in a bushy area at Ashford. Police Public Relations Officer Rodney Innes updated reporters at the scene earlier today.
This morning, about 9:25 a.m., police at District C Police Station received a report from a male caller who indicated that he had just come across a burnt-out vehicle while he was traveling along Ashford Road, St. John. The patrol responded and to the area directed by that gentleman, and we did confirm the discovery of a vehicle. It was completely burnt, and on further inspection, they discovered what appeared to be the skeletal remains of a human being in that vehicle. We've launched a unnatural death investigation. We have cordoned the area, recording the roads on both sides, and we are asking the general public, as usual, we're appealing to them for any information pertaining to this. If you would have seen something, heard something, let us know. You can contact the police emergency department at 211 or the District C Police Station at 416-8200 or 8201. At this stage, we are trying to ascertain the identity of the individual and anything else pertaining to this particular matter.
The Ministry of Education and the island's teachers' unions have not been seeing eye to eye on the ministry's handling of the meeting, but President of the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, Mary Redmond, says they remain open to dialogue and assure the union is acting in the interests of students, ancillary staff and teachers.
We are ready, willing and able to continue from then at the level that we have been operating. And, you talked about changes and that changes might facilitate expeditious responses. Now, we are quite aware of that, as I keep saying. But we have open lines of communication. And remember that those teachers are also human beings. They're parents, they're caregivers.
Absolutely.
They're siblings, they are spouses, they're partners. And the changes occurring at the wider society, the changes occurring at the level of the ministry and the education system also affect teachers on a personal level. And if they are made aware of those changes, then they're best positioned to deal with them, to respond to them in a way that is in the best interest of everybody. And I want to underscore that this union operates in the interest, protection and well-being of all persons on the school plant, students, ancillary staff and teachers.
There's high uncertainty among thousands of laid-off Barbadians, and a union official says there's great fear among them about what will happen when the 26 weeks of unemployment benefits end shortly. General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Senator Tony Moore, told a Central Bank of Barbados Regional Economic Forum on Tuesday night that the situation with mass dislocation on the island from the COVID-19 pandemic was very worrying, as business activity has slowed significantly over the past 6 months and prospects for re-employment look slim.
And as we speak, that layoff period is coming to an end, because in Barbados there's Social Security and unemployment benefit, and that unemployment benefit is 26 weeks. So as Rochelle was saying, their arrangement is furlough, ours is unemployment benefit. And the natural question for many is what happens after this 26 weeks? Certainly, there's also a provision that we have that you can trigger severance payment. But even if a worker triggers severance payment and receives that payment as a lump sum, then the bigger question is, what next? What next when there is no alternative employment available? I was interested to hear Carmen speaking about the options available. For instance, you can take workers from tourism and put them in other areas. But the question would be, where are these areas? There is anticipation, or certainly we had anticipation that there will be construction, maybe helping the economy. We have not been able to get that up and running. And certainly a number of linkage industries to tourism have been complaining that they're experiencing downturn. So There's uncertainty for employers, and therefore there's uncertainty for workers, tremendous uncertainty.
However, head of the Caribbean Employees Confederation, Jamaican businessman Wayne Chen said Barbadian workers and employers will have to make some sacrifices. He said the tripartite arrangement between government, workers, and private enterprise will be forced to work on collective solutions.
Barbados has had the longest standing formal social contract of any of the Caribbean countries, and it yielded very positive results for Barbados for a very long time. In the last go round, I think tell my friends in Barbados, everybody was perhaps a bit too polite to each other when and the crisis wasn't addressed. The crisis of uncompetitiveness wasn't addressed as quickly and assiduously as it should. But we're happy to know that Barbados is again leading in many ways in terms of innovation, in terms of thinking. I hear Senator Moore loud and clear. The fact is that the crisis we have right now is unprecedented, and no one sector is going to bring us out. It's going to require a tripartite approach, which the Senator is very familiar with. It's going to require a sort of social dialogue with some realistic sacrifices that everybody will have to make, because we're going to have to pull each other out of this crisis.
In today's COVID-19 update, Barbados recorded one new case of COVID-19, even as 7 people left the isolation facility at Harrison Point, St. Lucie. The 29-year-old visitor who tested positive yesterday is a known contact of another British visitor who was diagnosed with a viral illness on August 20. There are now 165 confirmed cases and 19 people in isolation. The number of people who have recovered from COVID-19 has increased to 139. The Best de Santos Public Health Laboratory conducted 172 tests yesterday, bringing the total number to 16,162.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In Trinidad and Tobago, health authorities are moving to ensure that people who receive a quarantine order follow through and self-isolate either at their home or a facility. According to Health Minister Terence Dale-Singh, health officials will be given the power to enforce the quarantine order for patients with mild COVID-19 symptoms, as well as those who will now be completing their recovery at their home. Ian Wason of TTT News explains.
With the Health Ministry allowing positive COVID-19 patients to self-quarantine at home, the government is putting measures in place to ensure they stay indoors. During the Ministry of Health media conference on Wednesday, Health Minister Terence Dale-Singh announced the ministry's initiative to combat the increase in cases.
We will now officially institute our next phase escalated response. What does this mean? It means that from today, we'll be asking certain categories of persons to self-isolate, whether it's at home or whether it's at elsewhere in a hotel or other setting.
Government is hoping the new measures will result in a reduction in this country's COVID-19 cases. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasram pointed out the peak in this country's cases is a direct result of recent behaviors of members of the public. He added people's behavior moving forward will reflect in the numbers in the near future. Meanwhile, Health Minister Terence Dale-Singh said government is doing its part to ensure people who have self-quarantined receive the help they need.
We are strengthening the capacity and have strengthened the capacity of the CMOHs now to enforce these quarantine orders.
Minister Dayal Singh said his ministry is working to clear the backlog of tests. That number currently stands at around 600.
Further afield, a teenager was arrested and charged with homicide today in connection with gunfire that killed 2 people and wounded a third during protests over the police shooting of a black man in Wisconsin. More in this report from Reuters Television.
A 17-year-old identified as Kyle Rittenhouse was arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide on Wednesday after 2 people were shot and killed and a third was seriously wounded during protests over the police shooting of a black man in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where Black Lives Matter demonstrators clashed with self-appointed militias armed with rifles. At a Wednesday news conference, Kenosha County Sheriff David Beth did not directly discuss the teenager, saying his department was not investigating the shootings from overnight. Social media videos showed the shooter, who authorities evidently believe is Rittenhouse of Antioch, Illinois, was a white man with a rifle. In one video, a crowd pursues someone carrying a rifle, whom they believe shot someone moments earlier. The armed individual falls to the ground and appears to shoot at those approaching him at close range. One of those who appears to be shot does not get up. That video then shows the suspected shooter with his hands up walking past several armed police vehicles without being stopped. Kenosha has been rocked by civil unrest since Sunday, after cell phone video showed police shooting 29-year-old Jacob Blake multiple times in the back at close range. His family's lawyers said the shooting has left him paralyzed from the waist down. The violence overnight prompted some elected officials to call for a reinforcement of National Guard troops, while President Donald Trump said he was sending federal law enforcement officers.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.